Okay, so we're going to get right into our read aloud for today. After morning meeting, we always do our read aloud of Wayside School. Now, we haven't been doing a regular schedule thus far, but since today is our official start of virtual learning, we're going to get into our read aloud after we do morning meeting, okay? So, after we finished the Wayside School trilogy, we had Wayside School, then Wayside School is Falling Down, then Wayside School Gets a Little Stranger, which is the book that we're in now, okay? After that, we're going to get into some really cool read-alouds that I have for you in my little wagon back here, okay? But we're still, of course, have a lot of chapters left of this book. Today we're going to start reading Chapter 4, which is called Dr. Pickle. Here is the picture for those of you that want to see. Okay. Chapter 4, Dr. Pickle. Actually, his name was Dr. Pickle, with the accent on the second syllable, Pickle. But that wasn't why everyone called him Dr. Pickle. Dr. Pickle was a psychiatrist. He had thick eyebrows and wore tiny glasses. He had a small beard on the tip of his pointed chin. A psychiatrist is a doctor who doesn't cure people with sick bodies. He cures people with sick minds. Although Dr. Pickle had a pretty sick mind himself. One day, a woman came into his office. She smoked too much, and she wanted him to help her quit. "I know that smoking is no good for me," she said as she puffed on her cigarette. "It's bad for my heart and it fills my lungs with gunk. And my husband won't kiss me because my breath stinks. But I can't quit." She finished her cigarette, smushed it out in an ashtray, and then immediately lit another one. "Have a seat," said Dr. Pickle. She sat down on his couch. "Look into my eyes," said Dr. Pickle. The woman stared into his deep, penetrating eyes. Dr. Pickle held up a gold chain. At the end of the chain was a green stone that was almost transparent, but not quite. It looked like a pickle, hence his name. "Watch the pickle," he said as he gently moved the chain. The pickle went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And the woman's eyes went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. "Put down your cigarette," Dr. Pickle said in a strong but gentle voice. The woman set her cigarette in an ashtray as she continued to stare at the pickle. "You are getting sleepy," said Dr. Pickle. "Your eyelids are getting heavy." The woman blinked her eyes. "When I count to 3, said Dr. Pickle, "you will fall into a deep, deep sleep. 1, 2, 3. And the woman's eyes closed. Dr. Pickle put down the pickle. "Can you hear me?" he said to the woman. "Yes," said the woman in a low voice from deep inside her. "You will do what I say," said Dr. Pickle. "I will do what you say," the woman repeated. "I am going to count to 5, said Dr. Pickle, "and then you will wake up, and as usual, you will want to smoke a cigarette." "I will want to smoke," the woman repeated. "But when you put the cigarette in your mouth," said Dr. Pickle, "it will feel just like a worm. A wiggling, slimy worm." "A yucky, icky worm," repeated the woman. "Good," said Dr. Pickle. "Now just one more thing," and he rubbed his beard and smiled. "Whenever your husband says the word potato, you will slap him. When Fred says potato, I will slap him." "Good," said Dr. Pickle, and he counted to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The woman woke up. "So, do you think you can help me?" she asked in her normal voice, as she reached for a cigarette. Dr. Pickle shrugged. She put the cigarette in her mouth and then screamed as she pulled it out. Ah! She looked at the cigarette, puzzled. She said, and then placed it back in her mouth and then spit it onto the floor. Okay, why do you think she's spitting it onto the floor? I know why. I'm sorry, she said, a little confused. She picked up the cigarette and put it in an ashtray. That's all right, said Dr. Pickle. She took out a new one from her pack, but as soon as she put it in her mouth, she spit that out too. Gosh, I'm sorry, she said again. I don't know what's come over me. She walked out of his office, shaking her head. She dropped her pack of cigarettes in the trash and never smoked again. Okay, let's pause. Smoking is very bad and we should never do that. That's what this chapter is about. It was an interesting thing about the word potato. Whenever Fred said it, she slapped him. Fred is her husband, remember? And he'd ask her why she slapped him, but she never remembered ever slapping him. And they'd get in a big fight all the time. Then they'd make up, which was nice because her breath did not stink anymore. They never figured out how it had anything to do with saying the word potato. But how could they ever know? But deep down, they both must have realized it somehow, because while they used to eat lots of potatoes, they gradually ate fewer and fewer potatoes, until they finally stopped eating them altogether. Dr. Pickle was a good doctor, but he kept playing those kinds of jokes on people all the time. There was a woman who quacked like a duck whenever she saw a train with more than 20 cars in it. And there was a man who took off his shoe any time anyone said parking meter. And eventually, Dr. Pickle was caught, and he was no longer ever allowed to practice psychiatry, so he had to find a new job. And he became the school counselor at an elementary school called... Now, I bet you guys can guess which elementary school he went to work at. That was a very interesting chapter. It's kind of weird, but you know these books are very weird. Tomorrow we will read chapter 5, which is called A Story with a Disappointing Ending. Here's the picture. Now I bet you can guess who this is about. Okay, see you in a little bit.